because at the end of the day, I'm more athletic than every single boxer in the whole entire sport and stronger than them.
That is a wild statement to make in a sport that has so many black people. It's also a wild statement considering that Jake Paul's last fight was rigged. I said it, but it wasn't rigged in the way you think. And it was not rigged by Jake Paul. He doesn't even know, but I know. And I know who rigged it, and I know why they rigged it. And later on in this video, I will show you, using the most advanced video technology available to mankind, that this fight was indeed rigged. But that's later on. Right now, we need to get to this $40 million 2-on-2 super fight. Jake Paul and Logan Paul versus Andrew Tate, Tristan Tate. Now, if you don't know what an MMA fight is, because you're retarded, I'm gonna have Mongoloid Mike over here explain it to you.
And I want to break down what an MMA fight looks like between Jake Paul, Logan Paul, Tristan Tate, Andrew Tate, with the three main categories involved, which is upper body or hand striking.
Hand striking, guys. Upper body hand striking, not boxing. You know what's crazy about this, other than it being a completely retarded way to describe boxing? This knucklehead is best friends with a guy who boxed Floyd Mayweather. This is not some toddler saying, oh, upper body hand striking. Your best friend was in a fight, a boxing match with Floyd Mayweather. Maybe you should know that upper body hand striking is called boxing, you retard. And your best friend's brother has been a full-time boxer for damn near 4 years now. And you're still calling it upper body hand striking. Anyways, let's continue. Let's continue to lose brain cells.
Kicking and wrestling and or grappling and what that looks like. So let's start with actual fist striking.
Fist striking. Let's start with fist striking. Not let's start with the boxing. Let's start with fist striking. I'm sorry, I can't get over the level of retardation. This guy should still be smoking crack behind a dumpster. How did he get here in life? Pure dumb luck by being best friends with this hand striker. Who just finished hand striking Dylan Dennis, upper body hand striking him. God, kill me now. Now, maybe you think I'm being too rough on this guy, but let me tell you why I am so agitated at this. The night before I watched this podcast, the very night before, I was watching Karate Combat. Let me show you. I was watching the Karate Combat fight with Benson Henderson versus Fat Anthony Pettis, okay? And as I'm watching this fight, I see the commentator booth. I see an absolute legend of MMA, Bas Rutten, a pioneer of MMA. Next to him, I see arguably the GOAT of MMA, Georges St. Pierre. And next to him, who do I see? That's Mongoloid Mike. That is Mongoloid Mike. I had to do a double take, a triple take, a quadruple take. Am I actually seeing what I think I'm seeing? Yeah, it's actually him. He even talks about it later on in this podcast episode, how he was commentating. So excuse me for being set off by the fact that this guy who is commentating a fight between two MMA legends refers to boxing as upper hand striking, refers to it as fist striking. Unreal. How did we get here? How did we get here in life? That alone is proof that society is going off a cliff. Let's move on, okay? Let's get to this proposed super fight.
Well, Andrew Tate is was a kickboxing world champion.
What was, Mike? He was.
Yeah, he was. And you never were. Your upper body hand striking record is 1-1-1. And your only win is against Dylan Dennis, who just stood there, who is not an upper body fist striker like you are. If I'm about to sign a contract to fight somebody, and they used to be a kickboxing champion, that means something. It doesn't matter if they're not currently a kickboxing champion. If I suck at combat sports, which Logan Paul does, I mean, these guys, he's delusional. But if you think that was a dumb statement, oh my God, prepare yourself for this one. Listen to this.
World champion,
I can look up the exact.
No, world champion in kickboxing is such a, seems like subjective sort of thing.
A kickboxing championship is subjective. Being a kickboxing champion is subjective. How does that work, Logan? So you're telling me that you could go into a kickboxing match, beat the brakes off the other dude, win the belt? That was subjective. I could make a case for giving it to the guy who's unconscious. It's subjective. It's based on feelings. Good Lord. Just an utter trio of tards. We got the most athletic and strongest boxer on planet Earth. We got this guy saying championships are subjective. And we got this guy, Mr. Upper Body Fist Striking. Can somebody just drop a nuke on this studio, please? So I don't have to watch this stuff anymore.
Cool. I'm just asking simple questions. So from the upper body hand striking situation.
Oh God, still with the upper body hand striking. I mean, do you guys feel my pain? Do you understand how ridiculous this is? Let's move on.
I'm just asking simple questions. So from the upper body hand striking situation, part of it, you guys clearly have the power and the experience to win that portion, correct? Now,
if it were boxing, absolutely.
They do? How do they clearly have that? Logan couldn't knock out Dylan Dennis, who was not fighting back, who was not a boxer. Sorry, an upper body fist striker. And Jake Paul just won a rigged fight. More on that later. Calm down. This guy is really diminishing Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate's upper body fist striking skills. Let me show you a clip of Andrew and Tristan sparring each other. All right. Let's have a look at Andrew Tate first. Look at these moves. Did you see that? Did you see that slip and then counter? Watch this. Have you seen Logan Paul slip a punch and then return with a 2-punch combo? I haven't. I don't know if I've seen Jake do that. Now watch this. This part right here. You see that? Pull back, counter. When have you ever seen Logan Paul do that? That is some slick upper body fist striking from a guy who is not training full time, from a guy who is retired. It's better than anything I've seen Logan Paul ever do. Now that's Andrew, of course. Tristan is completely being underestimated. Check out Tristan here. Watch this. Okay. Tristan just slammed Andrew Tate into this wall of glass cubes. First of all, mad respect to these guys for having this in their studio. This harkens back to the glory days of Miami Vice architecture. Anyways, you guys are too young for that. Him bodying him into the wall here is important. It shows aggression. It shows some killer instinct that you have never seen, say, Logan Paul have in a fight. He's scared of fighting. Anyways, let's get to some of Tristan's boxing here. Watch this. Look at that. Look at that. Now, was it some really slick boxing? No, but he showed, you could hear the power. And he had the aggression, that killer instinct I was saying. Did you see Logan do that in any of his fights? Even Jake? No. Anyways, let's get back to the Tardo trio here. Let's see what Jake has to say about Tristan. You just saw Tristan body Andrew Tate and unleash a fury of punches. Let's see what Jake thinks about Tristan.
And really, we're talking about Andrew here. Like, Tristan's not really in this equation. Like,
well, the way they describe it, it would be.
Yeah, but that's like the light work. You know, like, we'll take that out real fast and then.
Oh, will you? Oh, will you? Completely discounting a guy who is 6'4", 240 pounds, bigger than Logan, who's got that killer instinct to smash his brother into a glass wall and then unleash hell upon his body with some vicious punches. He's going to be light work, Jake? Light work? Are you sure about that? I'm pretty sure Tristan would demolish either of you. Oh, and some of you don't know, Tristan was a kickboxer. He has kickboxing fights. Yeah, but that's going to be light work. Okay, buddy. Keep dreaming. Now let's get to the financials, shall we?
We gave him an offer.
Yeah,
There's one thing to do. You can
10 mil for Andrew, 10 mil for Tristan, 10 mil for you, 10 mil for me, and.
But here's what they'll say: I don't need this for the money. You're gonna have to slap $50 million for me even to get out of bed. But
Yeah,
but
bro,
if you have
okay.
money, if you have money, then why is it about the money?
What if?
What? What a retarded thing to say. So does Logan fight for free? Did he do the Dylan Dennis fight for free, or did he make tens of millions from that fight? Now, I understand somebody saying something like that if you're some teenager, pothead, communist wannabe. Hey man, you got money, so why is it about the money? Do it for free. I get that. But this guy literally does what he is making fun of Andrew Tate for. The fact of the matter is, the more money you make, the more valuable your time. Thus, the more you have to get paid for it. I can't go to Guns N' Roses and say, hey, can you perform at my birthday party? And they go, sure, that'll be 10 million bucks. And I go, what? But you guys make 200 million a year on your tour. Why is it about the money? You already make 200 million. But that's exactly the point. Because instead of doing my birthday party, they could do a stadium and make $10 million that night. What an absolute goon this guy is. Holy Christ. I cannot impart to you guys enough how stupid these people are and how shocking it is that they are so famous and so rich in spite of their complete and utter absolute retardation. This is the fall of Rome, my friends, when these Mongos are on top and we are in the sewers.
What if there was a second? Are you guys confident enough so that if they ask for something that was more than the money, would you guys be willing to devote to that?
Like what?
You guys have to delete your Instagrams.
Yeah, who gives a shit?
Oh, really? Your social media following is all you have. It's all you live for. Who cares about deleting your Instagram with tens of millions of followers? Really, dude? You want me to believe that? It's not like he has a sad, pathetic Instagram following like I do of only 89 followers. What a bunch of donkey-doo.
If that undercarded Musk, Zuckerberg, we're talking about the greatest event in the history of mankind.
Really, dude? First of all, Musk versus Zuckerberg would be like a CM Punk fight. This would not be the greatest event in the history of mankind. It might break PPV records. I could absolutely see that. That's almost a guarantee. Greatest event? Come on, dude. Although I would love to see the Tate brothers absolutely demolish these Mongos. That would be beautiful to watch. But Mongo Mike here says that these guys would undercard. You think the egos of the Paul brothers would allow them to be on an undercard? Are you kidding me? There's no way they would agree to that. These guys are just delusional, thinking that Tristan Tate would be light work, dismissing Andrew Tate's accomplishments as he was a kickboxing champion. Besides, kickboxing championship is just subjective. Just delusion. Which just blows my mind when you watch this next bit. Watch this. The lack of self-awareness you will see in this next clip will blow your mind.
I think there should be a newly classified mental illness that we got to look into called MDD, mild delusional disorder. I think delusion is extremely common nowadays for whatever reason. People are delusional, and not just because you're in character trying to sell a fight. You really are not living in the same reality that everyone else is.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Oh, wow, the lack of self-awareness. Their egos are so enormous that they cannot see their own delusion. They think other people are deluded. Like, I mean, Jake talking about him being the most athletic boxer, the strongest boxer. That's not delusion? But it's funny because when it comes to what Jake thinks of himself as a boxer, these guys subtly roast him at the start of the podcast. And I don't think Jake picked up on it, but I certainly did. Check this out. This is how they introduce him.
Now, so I think that's a pretty good segue for the potentially greatest boxer of all time.
He's existing in the mainstream. No, he is the mainstream. He's the greatest boxer of all time. This generation's Muhammad Ali. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my brother, champion Jake Paul.
Innocent jokes? I don't know. I think that's a little passive-aggressive roasting there. I think they're kind of making fun of him. And I feel this way because this wasn't the only instance of it. A little later on, they kind of make fun of the competition that Jake has faced. Listen to this.
I already dusted up that whole roster.
He's talking about MMA fighters, the roster of MMA fighters.
That dusty-ass roster for sure.
Did you hear that? Listen to that again. Listen to Jake first.
I already dusted up that whole roster.
That dusty-ass roster for sure.
See? Logan made a joke about how the MMA fighters that Jake has faced were dusty. They were old. Just a subtle little passive-aggressive diss there about his competition. But Jake will not be deterred in his conviction about his fighting prowess. Listen to this.
And I think I've seen some people like trying to even discredit that, but also he's like a 3 times Golden Gloves champion.
Yeah, like 30 amateur fights.
So does that mean you could have been a Golden Gloves champion?
I would destroy all those guys.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
What went?
Does Jake even believe it? Listen to what he says at the end there.
I would destroy all those guys.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
What went?
I would destroy those guys. Really? Yeah, 100%. He didn't sound so confident there. Anyway, I promised you guys at the start of this video, I would break down how his last fight was rigged. And I'm not the only one who thinks this. Even Mongoloid Mike makes a little comment that shows you that even he thinks it was rigged, but he's not willing to say it, obviously. Listen to this.
Yeah, 100%.
What went wrong with that in his strategy that he left himself so open in round one? He just wasn't able to like
Because you can
understand
even
your tap.
You can hear the commentator like, Andre's got to stop dipping down. He dips down and you knock him out.
You hear that? Right away, Mongo Mike is saying, why was he doing that? Why was he dipping down like that right from the start? Even the commentators, as Logan pointed out right now, even the commentators were saying, he's going to get knocked out if he keeps dipping down. So even these guys, they caught up on that. They think it was rigged too. And I'll show you now. I promised you that I would use the most advanced video technology available to mankind to prove to you it was rigged. Watch this, all right? So when I was watching this fight live, I noticed that right away, Andre August kept bending over at the waist like 90 degrees. And when he would clinch, he'd be bent, his head would be bent down by Jake's waist. I kept thinking, is he trying to double leg Jake? What is going on here? So watch this. This is a perfect example. And I'm going to show you many examples of this. Watch.
When you look at a bunch of average.
What is that? Why did he do that after the jab? Why did he do that after the jab? Watch it again. Let's go frame by frame using the most advanced video technology available to mankind. Watch. So Jake here throws a jab, okay? There it is. Throws a jab. His response to that is dipping. Do you see how low he has dipped? Guys, I was paid to take an uppercut. I'm setting it up for you. Can somebody please hit me with an uppercut? That's what this posture is. How is that a response to a jab from that far out? You duck under a hook. There's no hook. He's too far for a hook. Why is his body, upper body 90 degrees? This was not the only time it happened. It happened many times, and I will show you a bunch of them. Let's jump ahead. 40 seconds later. Check it out. Oh, well, already. Look where his head is. Look where Jake's head is. And look how far apart they are. Why are you doing this? You're going to get hit by a hook when you're that far apart? He's setting himself up for an uppercut.
Paul, who's
Again, this is what I was saying. When he clinched up, it looks like he's doing a double leg. I've never seen this in all my years of watching boxing. What is this? He just keeps giving Jake opportunities to knock him out because that was the plan. But it wasn't Jake's plan. Jake doesn't know this was rigged. I'll explain that in a bit. I just want to show you a little more of my video evidence. Watch this.
That he's been working on. You know, in his last fight, August was able to cut the dip.
What was that? What was that? Why dip down like that? Look at this. Look at this dip. Who does this in boxing? This was a Golden Gloves champion? This guy, his record was 10-1 or something? What kind of posture is this in boxing? He is trying to eat an uppercut. He keeps giving Jake Paul opportunities to knock him out. I'm going to show you another one.
Jake Paul coming off that.
What is that? Rapid fire. Back to back. Dip.
Jake Paul coming
Dip. 90 degrees, upper body. Dude, he is just trying to eat an uppercut. Jake didn't rig this. Jake doesn't know it's rigged. He honestly thought he won fair and square. But this guy was clearly throwing the fight. He was clearly setting himself up to get knocked out. Now, first of all, I'll address when people say, oh, you can't fake that knockout. He went down hard. There's two ways you can take a dive. You can get hit, not knocked out, but then pretend you were knocked out, sure. But you can also just let the guy knock you out. These guys get hit in the head for a living. They're not afraid of getting knocked out if they're getting paid 500 grand or whatever he was paid. So if something looks like a real knockout, it might have been. Doesn't mean it wasn't rigged. It means he was paid to get knocked out. I'm sure he's been knocked out before in sparring or whatever. Why not get paid a few $100,000, $1 million? I don't know how much they paid him. So then who rigged it and why? Great question. First of all, you have to understand that in boxing, losses are very bad. It's not like MMA where you can have a bunch of losses and still become a champ, still be thought of as an incredible fighter. Charles Oliveira, perfect example. He has a ton of losses on his record, but he was a beloved champion when he had that awesome run. In fact, his losses made people root for him even more. It's not like that in boxing. It is not like that in boxing. So he lost to Tommy Fury. By the way, I'm not saying all his fights were rigged. He lost to Tommy Fury, right? But he lost to Tommy Fury, who is an absolute nobody. Nobody knew who he was without that Fury last name, okay? So he lost to an absolute nobody. He could not afford to have another loss. You cannot have two losses back-to-back in boxing and expect to be taken seriously, expect to sell pay-per-views. Now, Jake, being delusional and an egomaniac, thinks for sure he's going to win his next fight. So that's fine. His management lets him think that. But his management, who gets at least 10% of his purse, they cannot afford for him to lose his next fight. Otherwise, this boxing thing, this whole boxing venture of Jake's goes down the toilet. They have to make sure he wins. They cannot risk him losing. They were Jake's management, and now Jake has basically abandoned YouTube. I mean, he does a half-assed effort. He's got a crappy podcast that nobody watches. His vlogs, barely anybody watches anymore. So his management isn't getting as much money as they used to from the YouTube side of things because Jake has gone all in on boxing. So they need their cut. They need their juicy 10%. They cannot afford for Jake's boxing venture to now fail. They cannot afford for there to be a second loss, especially to an absolute nobody. So they're the ones who pay off Andre August to take a dive. And they don't let Jake know because Jake is an egomaniac. He fights for ego. He fights for pride. He fights for fame. Jake isn't going to train hard knowing it's rigged. Jake isn't going to feel good about himself. He's not behind the rigging, but his management needs this cash cow to keep producing money. They got to make sure he wins this fight. They rigged it because he couldn't have a second loss. Anyway, let's have Jake talk about this fight that he thought he won.
He couldn't land a punch, and I was hitting him hard as to the body and just jabbing him up.
Guys, he was jabbing him up. That's the new universal symbol for jabbing. Watch this.
And just jabbing him up.
Guys, he was jabbing him up. This is how you throw a jab. This is how you throw an upper body hand strike. Like this. This is the greatest boxer of our era. The most athletic, the strongest, showing us how a jab is thrown. That's right. But you got to listen to this. You got to listen to Jake teaching us about boxing. Listen to this.
It's pretty crazy, and I'm just falling more in love with what they call the sweet science.
Guys, boxing is called the sweet science. I'm falling more in love with what they call the sweet science. Everybody knows that. Everybody who watches boxing knows it's called the sweet science. This guy is such a clown. I know you guys love Jake now, all right? I know it's cool to love Jake now because, oh, we're supposed to hate Logan. And yes, he is the less insufferable brother. But come on! Anyways, I want to get back to where he thinks he stands amongst the other boxers. We got to listen to this again.
Because that's truly what it is, and everything is interconnected, and it's scary. It's scary for people.
You're scary.
People should be scared. They should be very scared to the level of understanding that I'm attaining, because at the end of the day, I'm more athletic than every single boxer in the whole entire sport and stronger than them.
Obviously.
And I say that, and I say that.
I don't think it's wild at all.
No, I'm not.
Logan is backing this up. Logan, who is talking about delusional disorder. I don't think that's a wild statement. Jake is the strongest, most athletic boxer in the world, regardless of weight class. More than Deontay Wilder. Yep.
It's just a ballsy statement and
I don't
a very
think-
concrete statement.
It's a ballsy statement? No, I don't think so. It's not a ballsy statement. He is more athletic and stronger than Deontay Wilder because they are talking across all weight classes.
I actually
is.
don't think it's ballsy at all.
Athletic.
I would
What do you mean
change-
by that? What do you mean by that?
Like just in pure speed, skill, reaction time, like all of these things, like
In all
any
classes?
yeah, just in athleticism, not boxing.
In all classes, he clarified. In all weight classes, yes. Yes, guys. Listen to that again. Listen to the delusion.
What do you mean by that?
Like just in pure speed, skill, reaction time, like all of these things, like
In all classes?
yeah, just in athleticism,
Wild.
not boxing.
I would
Wild.
Put us all in a 400-meter race. Put us all in a 100-meter.
in a football game,
in a football game, a basketball, pickleball.
He thinks he can run faster than all those black people. Dude, you are out to lunch. Good God, the level of delusion. You guys have to understand, he's not joking. And this is what I'm saying. He doesn't know his fights are rigged. His ego is too big. He would not be able to compete under those circumstances. God almighty. This is all so strange, but not nearly as strange as Jake Paul's alien abduction story. That is wild. And you can watch my video about it right here.